Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing Zoo Company once again, and this time we are playing against a Jeskai control deck. So let's get underway. Fun play. This is our opener. Slightly risky, given that we only have one land, but we do have a Nicottle and a Hierarch, so I think we decided to run with this. Certainly a lot of action at least. So we're going to have Windswept Heath. We fetch up a Temple Garden, given that we've got double white spells in our hand. Drops Steam Vents and bolts the Hierarch, which is pretty unfortunate. Hoping to draw a land. We do draw a land. It's a mountain, which is okay, but not ideal, as we can't really cast any of the other cards in our hand other than this Nicottle. But at the very least, it's going to be a 3/3 thanks to the mountain. There's a Hallowed Fountain, and then a Lightning Helix to hit our Nicottle with. So there goes that. So definitely hoping to draw something. Thankfully we draw an Arid Mesa, which is out this Mirren Crusader. Which our opponent has an Electrolyze, so he's just answering everything, which makes life quite difficult. We're at Collected Company now, which is a Birds of Paradise Wild Nicottle and Loxodon Smiter. Birds of Paradise is just a placeholder for the 4th Hierarch in this deck. Didn't want to buy another Hierarch with it being reprinted, etc. So we get to drop in a Nicottle and Loxodon Smiter, which is nice. Hopefully he doesn't have instant answers to all of those. And yeah, this is a place where Collected Company is particularly nice. Obviously he's tapped out, can't count on my Collected Company, so I'm just going to cast it. And then I'm going to have these two big threats on the board. It's going to be difficult for him to answer. So I'm going to pass the Smiter, leaving us with our Nicottle. Run out Pride Mage, attack. And I suppose I get a little bit cocky, I just decided to run out the Crusader as well. On the assumption that he's going to be more burn than board wipes. But unfortunately he has Anger of the Gods, and I just concede to that. I believe he's in a very bad position. I probably should have held back, I guess. But it's kind of difficult when he's just killing off you guys one for one. I kind of wanted to overwhelm him on the board, but unfortunately he runs main deck Anger. I kind of expected he wouldn't, but that was a risky take, but I don't really see any way of coming back from that situation, to be honest. I mean, I suppose we could have drawn creature, but yeah, huge blowout, and I ended up conceding. I suppose I should have tried to play it out, but he's on 15 life and we are way behind. So yeah, it's a pretty big blowout. Probably should have worked harder to play around it. Let's go into game 2, see if we can make a bit of a comeback. So this is our opener. Our opponent's going to mull to 5. I'm pretty happy with this. Core Firewalker is coming out with the sideboard. Quite nice against all his burn, hopefully. Pass not great. I think I did try and board out. I didn't want to board them all out. Good way to deal with Colonnade, which is usually one of their finishes, and I'm not entirely sure exactly what he's playing, so I figured boarding out all of my paths would be a little bit dangerous, but I think we're down to at least 1 or 2. Just going to run out an early Core Firewalker, past any potential counter magic. I think that will probably work out fairly well. Attack for 2. I decided, I mean, I didn't particularly need to, but I wanted to add additional pressure, and also if he kills this Goyf with like a bolt or a path, then that's just going to make our second Goyf that much bigger, so I decided to just go with it. So he does have a Volt. I'm going to gain life off the Firewalker from that, and that does make our second Goyf considerably bigger. Going to attack here. I didn't really play around Snapcaster Mage, maybe I should have done by not attacking, but I just feel like we need to apply the pressure early. Going to run out this next Goyf. As it's got 4 toughness, that leaves it in a fairly good position. against his bolts and his lightning helixes and Anger of the Gods, etc. So happy to run it out. I haven't seen any counter magic from him, so I'm kind of running on the assumption that he's mostly on burn, but maybe he's very light on counter magic. So I just decided to run it out and see how it goes. Either way, we've got some backup replacements, as it were. Still got a lot of gas in our hand, so I can just to think twice at end of turn. This is back to us. That's fairly good. We're going to be at 5 here. I'm just going to cast another think twice. There's a path for the Goyf, so I'm only going to get into 2, unfortunately, but we've got a nice follow-up in a Knight of Liquid, which is going to be a 4/4, so again, gets past these 3 damage spells. Unfortunately, he has a Rending Volley, which is quite interesting. Kind of surprised he brought that in against us. Not really anything I can do about that. But yeah, unfortunately hits the Knight. If we'd had one more land in our graveyard, we would have been able to live through that. So a little unfortunate, but I still feel like we're in a fairly good position. Drops a Gideon, which is a little scary, and is actually going to be able to kill off our Firewalker. Probably one of the few ways he can with his deck. We draw to Choke, which is one of our hate cards against our opponent. It's going to be pretty nice, but right now we just need to get some power on the board to kill off his Gideon. Also he has a Sulphur Falls, which makes Choke slightly less good because he's still going to be able to untap that, but and the Colonnade as well, so it's not going to be as crippling as it could be in other circumstances, but it would be nice to drop for a mana. But right now, with the opening, no counter magic around, I think I just want to cast Collected Company and see what we can get. So we get a nice little bunch there. We've got Core Firewalker, Smiter, Tarmogoyf, Wild Nicottle, and Scavenging Ooze. I'm going to go for the Firewalker just because I feel like it's very good against him. It's going to give me an incremental advantage every time he plays a burn spell. Makes it very difficult for him to burn me out, which is probably his main strategy, I suppose. He can start getting aggressive with Colonnades, etc. But I think burn is his main strategy, particularly as he seems to be very light on counter magic, so quite like that. Also, Firewalker doesn't die to Anger of the Gods or anything like that, so it's just not going to be able to sweep that away. And then Smite is just the next biggest body, I guess. Tarmogoyf could potentially get bigger, I suppose, particularly if we kill this Gideon, but I think I'd rather just have the biggest creature possible at this moment in time. So pretty happy with our Collected Company there. 1+2 to Gideon. We're going to attack all in with our guys. You can activate Colonnade, which I was well aware of, but fortunately we've just got the path to deal with that. So Pathway's Colonnade, kill off the Gideon, and then with him tapped down we can actually choke him now, and given that we got rid of his Colonnade as well, that makes his life slightly more difficult. He's only actually going to have access to 1 blue source. Again, not as bad as it could be, but pretty good. He's actually only got access to 3 lands now, and definitely feel like we're in the ascendancy. There's a fetch to find a Sacred Foundry. Right, that's 6. I think he's going to flash back a Think Twice, try and find another card, maybe. So it's hoping for a path, I imagine. I think an opponent bolts himself or something along those lines just to finish it off, but yeah, definitely managed to pick up the win there and put him in a position where he couldn't really win out. Core Firewalker doing a lot of work there as well. So let's go into game 2. I mean game 3, sorry. The decider. So we're on a draw here. This hand's not super exciting, but we do have a couple of knights and a couple of fetches, so they're going to be 4/4s, so we can't just 1-for-1 remove them. Scavenging Ooze doesn't seem awesome in this matchup, just because he doesn't really have any creatures that we can eat, but if he's killing off all our guys, I suppose we're going to have some stuff to feed our ooze with. And I haven't seen any Snapcaster Mages out of him, but I imagine he's running them, and Scooz is pretty good there as well, so Got these off with a Flooded Strand. Some great, crack this Windswept Heath. Get a Temple Garden and play in the Cottle. Which is on end of turn, unfortunately. Stomping Ground, going to play in the Cottle and then just pass the turn. I mean, it would be more mana efficient to play Scavenging Ooze, but I'm not willing to run that out into a burn spell. I'd much rather play it when I can protect it somehow. Find a Firewalker. Again, I'd be reluctant to play otherwise. Play spells into open mana against the deck like this, but I mean, we need to be fast, and also I just haven't seen much in the way of counter magic out of him, so I'm just happy to run out my knight here. And passes the turn. I could have just waited and passed and just made our knight that much bigger so it can be protected from a rending volley or something, but I think it pays to be aggressive here. 16 and just run out my core Firewalker as well. That way if he has some way to deal with the knight, at the very least we're going to gain a bit of life. So Lightning Bolt plus an Electrolyze kills off my knight, which is fine. We gain a couple of life off that as well. Opponent's tapped out on his own turn, which is, well, basically tapped out on his own turn, which is never a position he wants to be in. And just past the turn here. I think I was just assuming that I had enough pressure on the board that I could just keep going here. Actually no, I'm keeping up Collected Company, that's the one. I could have ran it out there, but I didn't want to run into an Anger of the Gods or something, and I figured we're in a decent enough position that we can just pass the turn. So if it looks like he's going to tap for something, I assume Gideon, but I'm not entirely sure, and he just passes the turn back, so I'm just going to attack for 2. And again, we're just passing the turn, leaving Collected Company up. Opponent does have a Gideon, which kills off the Firewalker, and we're going to go for the Collected. Unfortunately, our opponent does have a negate, which is presumably why he left. He waited, so it doesn't seem great for us. Maybe we should have applied more pressure while we could have done, because the negate on the Collected Company does really hurt us. Particularly with him having a Gideon out. So I'm going to run up Pride Mage and Thalia, put some pressure on the board. Pass the turn back. Fortunately, he doesn't have a Colonnade or anything. Does one of our lands, but that seems fairly inconsequential. If anything, actually just makes our knight bigger. And the +2 is the Gideon. Only got 1 card in hand, so that is attack for 4 here, put a Gideon down to 2, and then play a 5/5 Knight of the Reliquary. And +2 is the Gideon again. Just attack with all our guys into Gideon because we don't have a choice. I'm just going to pass the turn. I don't see any particular reason to run things out. He might have a Supreme Verdict or something. There's definitely a possibility he could be running some of those cards, so I didn't want to run any more creatures out into that. But yeah, in a very good position. Obviously, a few doorsteps our opponent had to deal with what we had didn't work out so well for him. So closer than I would have liked. Maybe could have played that a little bit better to apply a bit more pressure early on, just to play around the possibility of that the counter for our Collected Company plus a Gideon. But in general, that went pretty well, and fortunately our opponent wasn't able to draw out the situation in the end, and we managed to pick up the win. So yeah, went fairly well.